All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is January 21st, 2020. This is a Tuesday night webinar, and the title of tonight's webinar is You Need to Know All Lightning Swing Types. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk, therefore there's always risk of loss. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else should ever be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? Ken says he's coming to us from his local hospital tonight, got his second new hip this morning. So you're in recovery. That sounds like that would be a tad on the painful side, is it? Or is it something that you just kind of get over after a while? I'll wait for his comment. He may have gone on meds or something. All right, let me go ahead and take down the disclaimer, and I'll start. Now, one thing, just to give you an example, even in the room this morning, I was asked, why would you take a trade on oil, when the background is still red and, your mid-band is short color and everything. Why would you go ahead and take a long there? Anybody? Gotta love the drugs, Ken says. I was waiting for that comment. All right. So anyway, what you got to get in the habit of realizing, and it's super important to know, okay? Because there are 4 trends on your charts every single day, and there's really more than that, obviously, because there's like, monthly type trends and, yearly and everything else. But the way we trade, there are 4 trends on your chart for the most part. You can trade when one of those trends starts stair-stepping the direction that you want to trade, okay? And that's why we will do that even when that mid-band. Now, keep in mind that mid-band is actually, like in a long, it's a support, and in a short, it's more resistance. But there comes a time where every trade gives up the ghost, and they will go the opposite direction. And you can usually get those telltale signs that they're doing it, in plenty of time to get on the right side of the trade. And I think that's really important to know. For instance, on this chart, okay, now I purposely put this just, this is basically midnight, I think, last night. Yeah, pretty much midnight last night. See, it's midnight. So, 19 minutes from then would be a new day. But if you walked into your trading room, you've got to be able to see that on your chart, there is a trend going on right now. That's the most important thing you can look at on your chart, is what direction is the trend going as we speak. Well, obviously, if you draw a lightning 3 from one of these swings, and I should be able to draw a lightning 3. Let me see if I can. There we go. All right. I mean, you can clearly see that trend's down, right? Okay. I think everybody can see that, right? I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that this trend is down, okay? Now, when you draw your lightning 2, to give an example, or even lightning 1, let's just draw lightning 1. See if we can draw a lightning 1. My lightning's not wanting to cooperate with me tonight. There we go. All right. Now, notice how, even though this trend is heading down, okay, that still on your lightning type moves, see how they'll just stair step and stair step up and everything. There's a lot of traders that'll actually take a trade, by even, doing like a limit order across there or something like that, and actually take longs against shorts, which there's nothing wrong with that, because you can a lot of times get 10 ticks if you do it. But you got to know what you're doing, because you don't want to, get in this thing, it hits resistance and rolls over. Okay, and I'm not advocating doing that. But what I am saying, though, as we look at this tonight, is you can tell when these markets are starting to give up the ghost. But the most important thing is this particular trend right here. That's your lightning 3. Now, if you look at your power meter right here, well, if I hover over it, it turns black, so you won't be able to see it. So just watch my cursor underneath it. Lightning 3 is power meter 3. That's just simply all of this swings on Lightning 3. Okay, let's see, would you show us how to get a chart that looks like that in NT? Bob, on your question, that's actually in our templates and everything that you have. Let me show you how to get it, though. Bob's asking a question on that, so let me go to this real quick. And let me go to my member login, and then I'll show the screen again. It's under the member login, Bob, on your question. And what you do is you just simply go to the members area, all right, and scroll down, and then you're going to open this zip file right here. And there's a template in there called webinar, okay? And you just simply put that, this even tells you where to put it, for instance. Let's see, it used to. Oh, it's in the text file. But anyway, any template with NinjaTrader, you put in Documents, NinjaTrader 7, Templates, Chart. And you drop the template in there, and you'll have this exact template that I'm using here. Because all I'm doing is actually using a template that I like, and it's called the webinar template right here. Okay, and that's exactly this template right here, and it's there for every single member. Because to me, until a person learns to see this chart right here, you can't really trade Viper the way it was designed. Because you've got to know, where those swings are. You've got to know, what the particular movements are at the time. Are we actually getting any kind of an uptrend? Well, you can clearly see right now we're not, right? And so what's our go-to trade as we speak right now? Anybody? What would we be looking for? A retrace trade, right? So we've got to draw on our charts, and we've got to see where they've already been. Okay, you got to see where they've already been, because that's super, super important to know where they've already been. Okay, because you're going to have to make a trade, accordingly. Okay. So we're looking at what, last night, right? Well, I don't even trade at 12 o'clock at night, so let's see what actually shows up here. We'll look for a retrace. Now, like I say, what I use this particular chart for, though, is just to get my overall direction, and I know what it'll take to change the direction to the other side, at least right now as I'm speaking. Okay, power meter 4, Kevin, the way this works is every one of your lightnings is a meter, okay? Lightning 3 is the control key. You just simply hold your control key down and left click on your lightning on one of your swings, okay? Now, when you go to Lightning 4, to give an example, it's a larger, based on like a 12 range chart, and it's done with your backspace key. And this is your, let's just draw it from here. There's your Lightning 4 right there. Okay. Now, Lightning 4, even, see, you had a huge thrust up. Here back a day or so ago, you had a nice uptrend, right? Well, it started breaking down where? Well, basically, if you use Lightning 3, it pretty much started breaking down right across there. See, because you can clearly see that it was, if you had the prices up, you'd probably be bouncing around and then taking out lows. Okay. So, keep in mind that we're not trading the trend of Lightning 4. We're just looking at it to see, what the overall might be doing right now. Okay. The most important lightning to me is Lightning 3. But Lightning 4 is the backspace key. Lightning 3 is the control key. And Lightning 2 is the shift key, and Lightning 1 is the alt key. Okay, so basically, your Lightning 3, again, being your most important, because if you'll draw it with the control key, that's real easy to draw. And what we've done with this is just simply told it we're looking for some good thrusts and retraces, And this particular indicator has worked now for, about, I think it was about 4 years ago or so that I had this one developed, and I like it. I mean, it gives me some really, really good trades. And that's Lightning 3 right there. So if you're looking at this chart, thinking about all of the lightning swing types, okay, but keep in mind that you can still take some trades against the trend, okay? And that's what we do. You know, for instance, I don't know what this did, but let's just say that you got up and you said, okay, I see this right through here. If they were to retrace through that line, could you take a long trade and give it a shot? Well, you want to really look at your overall chart to make sure, because a lot of times you're going to just get back up to resistance and very possibly just roll over again. Okay, and that's what happens a lot. So I'd be careful going against the trend. But where you can really tell when a trend gives up is when they get those beautiful double bottoms, or when they barely take out the previous low on a short to go long, to give an example, and then vice versa, the other direction. Okay, so let's look at the overall chart. We know that we've got a downtrend, right? I mean, it's clearly obvious we're in a downtrend. You know, you don't have to look all the way back here to see it either. You just have to look at like an ABC type move. You're in a downtrend, high, low, lower high, lower low. That's definitely a downtrend from even right here. It's also a downtrend from here. It's a downtrend from way up here, right? Okay, so you're looking for retracement type trades, just like we teach. So let's go to the chart and let's see what we got here. Now, when I diagnose a chart, I look at it like, okay, if they were to decide to check this little swing right across here, and they decided to go up, I would box that in more than likely, because if they were to break this, they'd probably at least go to one of these swings from previously. Okay, if they hold your what we call lightning, then they're not going to head up. Okay, for instance, like right now, I see resistance right there. Okay, everybody see that? Thrust, retrace, thrust. And I would be looking for a trade right in this little sweet spot right there. Okay, that's where I would be looking for it if they hold what we call micro pullback. Now, if they go deeper, then I'd be looking for a trade roughly in through here. Because to get a lower high, you don't want them to take out the previous high. So if they were to get a sweet trade right in here, for instance, and roll over, I would also look for that. Okay. Now, one thing you want to look for also is you want to look for your predictors and your resistance areas. Okay. And you got to keep in mind too, when they decide to roll over, then you're going to want to be in the trade, right? I mean, it's just absolutely a must. You got to get in the trade pretty soon. Okay. So we're going to be looking for a trade, what, roughly at about like this 36 area. What do you think? If it was to decide, let's see, it's broken down below 36, right? So wouldn't we be looking for a little bit back up? And this may already be it, okay? We don't know just yet, all right? But when you're trading, you know, the whole thing is, if you miss a trade, you got to wait for the retrace, okay? So let's put Object Trader on and let's see if we can get a little retrace. And let's let it play a few bars just to see what it's going to do first. We'll do it about a few times here. Okay, you have a low, you have a high, you have a little lower low. This is like a lightning one type of a thing. So if this was to actually decide to roll over, if you're a gutsy trader, could you take this trade if it doesn't touch that line right there? You know, for instance, let's say that it doesn't go ahead and kiss this line. Could you take this trade if it decided just to roll over? You know, just put like a bar close. You know, that's a short bar close right there. So if this bar closes down, I could be in a trade, right? Because I'm looking for it to kiss 36 or just under it, either way. Okay? Because when they thrust down, retrace and thrust, if they're going to hold micro type moves, they'll sit right on top of the previous resistance and then roll over. Okay? Now, if you're a little bit more of a gutsy trader and you want to actually just go ahead and take that if the bar closes down, then, you know, that's a tad on the gutsy side, but you could simply put your stop just above 36. Everybody see that? Okay. Now, if you're more into getting into trades that retrace a little bit more, then what you're going to want to wait for is the mid-band type trade. Okay. Now, and another one, of course, is what we call your predictor type trades. Okay. Now, I wouldn't be personally afraid of this trade right here because I see it actually holding resistance to the left, you know, and if this bar closes down, it's giving me pretty good confirmation that it's trying to roll over. But I could put a tight stop on it. You want to just try it and see with one contract? I'd use a very tight stop, yeah. If you get, you know, if you missed this whole part of the trade here and you didn't get this one here, and now you're looking for this one here, you would have to either take it if you get a confirmation that it's heading down, or you'd have to wait for it to retrace higher, and then you could get out of the trade that you're just getting ready to get into. Let's see what it did. Just curious. If it goes down one more tick, it'll fire it. It's holding resistance. Now, this is the type of trade that Charles gets into in the room. Remember when we're in trades a lot of times in the room, and Charles will say, I got in late, but I got in? Well, the reason that he got in late is because he's not in the room when I open it at 8 o'clock in the morning. So therefore, you know, that would make him obviously a little bit late, right? Okay. Now, what if I wanted to add one on that? Well, you could actually add one on a bar close again, put your stop still just right above that 36. So I'm risking 9 ticks right now with 2 contracts, so that's 180 bucks. Okay. But couldn't I also say, you know what? If they even decide to take that out, I could actually put touch like +1 or so and actually do sniper where it'll take one of my contracts off if it even touches that line by a tick. And then I wouldn't be risking that whole stop right there. Okay. Let's see if it worked. It looks decent. Okay, I think we're good. I'd definitely go ahead and bring my stop down. See, now we're only risking 7 ticks. And we've got our sniper just in case it takes out, you know, basically like just kind of where we rolled over in our bar. Because I want to be sure that this is going my direction, and I don't want to do it with both of those contracts just in case. Now, if this bar goes down, I'll lower sniper a little bit just so I don't give up a bunch of my money. I wasn't able to find, what's weird, Louis, is it shows there's like 17 of them, but then when you look for them, it's not highlighting them. So I've still got to figure that out. I'm not sure if that's something on our website that's doing that or what. But I'll do a predictor webinar for you. How's that? All right. Now, see, by the way, this is working out pretty nicely. So couldn't you actually now bring your sniper, hit your enter, and then, you know, this would actually save you some of this coin, keep dropping sniper just in case. Okay, bring our stop to break even. And I'd probably, actually, we had 300, so we probably should have closed that rather than talking about it. But that's all right. We'll see what it does. We'll see what it does. I think we're still okay. Now, by the way, usually when you get 10 ticks, you do want to go ahead and take a contract off. John, what sniper is actually a horizontal line that works like a region does. Okay? Let me pause, slow this down just real quick. If we put a sniper line on here, it's just a horizontal line by Ninja, and it's got a T button and a B button. Okay. Now, since I only used one line, that's the T button only, which is long out, which we're short. So if it went above that by a tick, then it would take me out of one of those contracts. Okay. Now, you can also do it this way. Let me show you another way to do this. Let me get this out of the way for a minute while I talk. You can use the region and just simply hit a region, hit insert, And let's say that I don't want it going above that box right there, then I can just tell it I don't want to touch +1. Okay, that would only get rid of one contract, by the way. My other one would stay intact. Okay. What I'm doing right there is just telling it, hey, if you're going to do what I want you to do, then I don't want you to retrace any further than this line right here. You see what I mean? That's all I'm telling it to do is I don't want to risk both of my contracts. Let's see what it did. Just curious. So you're still okay. Now, I would probably more than likely start seeing about protecting this little puppy. But let's see what it does here. We'll leave our stop right where it's at just for fun of it for right now. Looks like it might get it. See how it took one off right there? Okay. Now, if I wanted to, I could actually go ahead and short again if it happens to break. But you don't want to do that. You want to do your little retraces. Okay. Now, see how that's probably going to get us right there? Now, you could have taken, by the way, both of them off if you wanted to. Now, if I want to ride this for the gusto, I can actually put my stop just above predictor. Okay. You'll notice that when you have predictors actually going in your favor, they will not take them out. Okay. See how that actually held right there? And now I'm back in 2 again. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and lower my stop again to right there. Okay. Now let's go ahead and look at our lightning just to see what's happening on it. All right. That was actually a pretty good little burst down, wasn't it? All right. Now when they shotgun like that, truthfully, usually what I end up doing is I get out of 1 quickly, because when they shotgun like that, they're going to usually break instead of heading down further. And you can go ahead and get out of 1 if you want to. Okay. Now this is actually what we call, well, basically here we did a predictor rollover, right? This is another predictor right here. All right, but we're still in 1. Let's see if we can ride it. And if we get anywhere near mid band, we'll go ahead and look for another trade. See if we can get something. If it takes us out, it takes us out. We'll look for another trade. We'll get it. Let's see what it's doing here. Okay, you got a high. Not trying to take it out, is it? I bet it goes yellow bar. When you see that happen, like right there, see the high, the low, the higher high, they're trying their dead level best to retrace deeper. Now see where they just hit mid-band right there? Okay, now that would be a good area to actually go ahead and go. Matter of fact, let's do that if it goes out of this thing. Okay, we're in 2. And we're going to put our stop nice and tight. Do not get me. I'm going to put it on exit on close. If it exits above it, it'll get us. If it just touches it, it won't get us. Okay. Now look what's happening right here. I want to show you something here real quick. This is something you want to look for when they start doing what we call giving up the ghost a little bit. Now, if this rolls over, it's not giving up the ghost. Okay. Let me show you why I'm saying that. Let me draw lightning 3. Now, that's a little sloppy on lightning 3, isn't it? That's because we went from day to day. All right, let's see what we get here. Notice that you have a high right here, though. All right. And it looks like you're heading down some more. Okay. Now, let me ask you a quick question on here. If you were trading this, and by the way, if you were looking at this, let's say that you got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you just saw what just happened on this chart. Okay. Now, we expect a lower high, take out the low, right? Well, the reason I can call those yellow candles like that a lot of time, Louis, if they actually go up to this mid band and roll over and don't take out the low to the left, they'll usually try to come up and wick where you got in, and then they'll usually go down lower. Not always, because I'm here to tell you, for instance, if they decided that they wanted to go ahead and go up, what would they actually do? No, they're not doing it because, see, they broke it. So that's off the table now. All right, but let's kill this for a second. I'll show you some things. Let's look at this. Okay, what I do is I like to diagnose my charts. And if this was to decide to go up, they would have to take out this swing. All right, they're not doing that, right? We're not doing that. But let's see if y'all can catch where I caught this trade this morning on CL. Because remember, we actually got a great little trade at the open. As a matter of fact, I even called it at the open of the market. Everybody see that right there so far? Now, if it goes ahead and heads down, by the way, that looks like a good little short to me. I'm going to go ahead and take it, and I'm going to put a nice tight stop just above that. All right, let's see if we can get down to that bottom. Everybody see why I took that? Why did I take that just then? Because you had a high, a low, a lower high, lower low. If they're going to hold this downtrend, they need to respect that right there. Now watch and see if they don't. They may wick it. See how they just touched it? This happens all the time in our trading room. Everybody see that? That turned out to be a decent little trade, didn't it? So with the power meters, if it goes green, does that mean that a predictor or swing was taken out to the upside? Well, no. Let me tell you exactly what predictors do, okay? When you have white predictors and magenta predictors, you're really looking for these retrace trades to the downside. Now, when they start taking out these predictors to the upside, like over here, for instance, when this took this out barely, they were looking to try to change the trend, but they couldn't do it. So they took it down further. Okay. Now, if they take out this predictor and well, for instance, right here, swing to the left. Let's see if they do. They're still heading down. You got a lower high. We'll go ahead and tighten our stop. Okay. Now, but what will it take to actually change the trend on this chart? Anybody? What do you think? If they take out this 09 right here, then they're not really heading down anymore. Now, see, they are still heading down so far, so we're still okay, right? That's what, 4:15 in the morning? Little yellow bar probe right there. You'd put your stop just above the swing, just like we've got it, and you'd ride your runner. Okay? So you're still riding a runner, but let's fast forward this. Let's see if we can catch a trend change. If we get one. See, it held. We don't care if they take our target, that's fine. Okay, let's look to the left to trade the right. What is that? Anybody? That's a double bottom right there. That's a double bottom. Yep. All right, so you have a low, you have a high, you have the same low. All right, so they're trying to take out this swing right across here. Right? Okay, so our job now is to say, okay, is this actually going to change trends with that double bottom? All right. Now this is what we talk about when we actually box these things in at the mid band. Okay. Let's let it go a little bit further. Let's see what it does. Higher low so far. Let's let it go a little bit further. Now what I normally do if I see something like this where they took out this top, they're resting right around it right now again, I would probably box this little puppy in. Okay, now that's below mid band, but why are we actually looking at that? Well, for one thing, see, when you get these rollovers, when they're really heading down, notice that you don't even get the green stealth. then you barely got a green stealth here. It's still rolled over. You're getting quite a bit larger green stealth and even another green stealth. That's kind of telling you they're trying their dead level best to change that trend. Okay, so how big of a box would you use? Well, truthfully, on a case like this, I would actually just take this trade if it took this out right here and put a pretty tight stop on it. Now, if I'm up pretty nicely like this, I would more than likely just do one. So if I did a region on this, I would do it like this. Just kick my region in, put it right here, and see if we can get anything. Okay, now I don't like to do a yellow bar probe when I don't take out the low. Okay, see over here, when you did your yellow bar, it took out the low over here. See it? This one kind of danced around, but it finally took out the low, right? So this is a legitimate yellow bar. Now this one didn't take out the low. It still could, okay? But in the case of this one right here, the only way I would really take this one short again, unless you already took it at 93 where I drew the line, would be if it took out support like right through there. All right, let's see, look to the left, trade the right. Yeah, I'd have to take out like 83 for me to take that thing short. So we'll turn it on both ways, just in case. Because we already missed it where it just rolled over, okay? But I'm diagnosing my chart in real time because I'm seeing a double bottom here too. So let's see which way it does decide to go. All right, we got us a little trade. Now, by the way, your best bet on this particular trade, if it comes back and kisses that right on top of that little swing that it just made, like right there, you could actually do this again, and this should fire if we get within 2 ticks of that. Let's see if it does. Why did the PMs change color? PM 1 and 2 are now green. PM 1 and 2. Oh, the reason they do that, Lisa, is because you're no longer stair-stepping down. That's what I was talking about when you have all these trends on your chart. If you were to look at this just on a black chart, let me show you what you'd see. Let's go to the black chart. Let's get rid of all this because we don't need it anymore. Now, you notice that on your larger term move, you're still in a downtrend, right? As of here, okay? But draw your lightning, and when they break this lightning 3 right here, they're going to be heading up for sure. See how they're breaking out of that little area here? This is what you look for when you're looking for trends, okay? Because keep in mind that you're looking at larger trends and then you're looking at smaller trends. What is this right here? Low, high, higher low, higher high. What is that trend right there? That's an uptrend, okay? But on the left side of the chart, it's not an uptrend on Lightning 3, right? But when you started getting this higher low right here, that was starting to signal to you that they were trying to break up. Now, if they break this 06, which looks like they just barely touched it, see there to the left. But let's see if we can get, just for the fun of it, I'm going to put this here. I'm going to put this here. And I'll take either one of those, break or touch. Let's see what it does. Because that will add one if we get down to within, well, it added it out of the top, so we're fine. All right, now I would put my stop obviously right there. Okay? Move your targets out of the way and just ride your runner. Now, when you're trading like this, by the way, and just keep in mind that I actually talked about that trade this morning in the room. Okay? Now, what signaled that trade? The double bottom was the first hint. The higher low was definitely the second hint. And when it started breaking above these swings right here, that was your third hint. When it busted up above and pulled back and kissed, that was, pretty much telling you that you really needed to get long on this. The stealth, several times being green, that was telling you that you were also looking to get green. See what I mean? Okay. That's how I took a trade like that in the room. But remember what I also said when we opened the room. I want to show you how to get another trade. All right, because we ended up getting this trade. Let's look to the left to trade the right. See where they're. Our lightning 6 is right down here. That's what it would take to do a minimum criteria trade. All right. If you get any kind of a pullback at all, I'd probably get rid of one. Like that. That way you're not taking a chance with coming down 10 and 15 ticks with 2. Okay. Now let's look to the left to trade the right, and let's see if we can get a little pullback. There's a swing right across here at 20. And we don't think they're going to go as low as 9 because they've already busted out of it. So if they were to come down and check it, that would be all the way down to there, but they've really already checked it. So let's draw this line, and let's see if we can get a trade, because I called this one in the room this morning. Turn this little puppy on right here, minimum criteria long, and let's see when it flashes. So the PMs change color, Lisa, when you start stair-stepping the opposite direction, okay? Notice that all 4 of them are green now. Notice that we got a trend change that even happened, okay? Now, since we're not bounce type, like breakout type traders and everything, you got to be careful taking breakout trades, obviously. So if you miss this, you're going to want some kind of a pullback. Now in the room this morning, I said we had a high, a low, and a higher high. So we drew a line right there. All right. And we expect it to kind of come down and hit its head right where you had this little consolidation, because this is what we call micro pullback. Okay. So if it gets anywhere down in this little sweet spot right here, we would be looking for a trade. Okay. Now, when your best trade will come to you is if you can get as close to mid-band as possible. But keep in mind, you might leave quite a bit on the table before you get a mid-band type trade. Okay. Now, let me show you the type of trade that Charles actually looks for. All right. He would be watching this right here to see what kind of consolidation we're getting. Notice how you've got a candle down, candle up, candle down, candle up. Candle, we don't know yet because it hadn't closed. All right. So what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to retrace. Okay. But they haven't given us their retracement yet. We find that a lot of times in oil, they'll come down to line 6. And matter of fact, let me speed it up just a little bit. Now, I wouldn't take a break out of this. Now, remember this little trade in the room this morning? Anybody? Let me show you how you can see it. What's that little meter? I thought oil was going to sleep this morning for a while, the way it was going so sideways. But that's what they do. They thrust and then they check and see what they've done. Now remember, what is a minimum criteria trade? Anybody? If it closes below stealth and line, see it right there? That little trade right there? This was telling you candle down, candle up, and granted, I could actually just do it more like right here when it breaks out of the little box. But I did say to everybody this morning, if this next candle goes down and takes out this candle, put a really tight stop on it. Okay. But it turned out to be a very, very good trade. Okay. Now, what you would have done, you would have put your stop literally just right underneath that candle with the close of a bar. Okay. Now, if you're not a gutsy trader like that, keep in mind that we still diagnosed the chart, though, by looking to the left to trade the right. We had a support level at 20. They went down to, almost 15. They didn't go down to 9 because we didn't expect them to, right? And that's where I called that trade this morning. And by the way, that turned into being a pretty decent little trade too. If you just turn it on, you'll see it. Everybody remember that trade? Now, what if you weren't in any trade whatsoever right now, and you just said, you know what, I just missed these trades, so what am I going to do? Well, for one thing, you're going to have to be careful taking any kind of a breakout trade here. Okay? Now, if I remember right, we got all the way up to this area right here. I'm almost positive we did. But anyway, let's say that you weren't in any kind of a trade yet. Could you take a little trade if it happened to break, like this little swing area right here? I would highly recommend against it. Okay, let's see if we can get a mid-band type trade. Let's just watch for a mid-band type trade. Now, what is that? Let's stop this for just a second. This was another trade that was called in the room this morning. Now, let's look to the left to trade the right and see why the trade was actually called where it was. Okay, you have a high here, a low here, and a high here. That establishes that swing right there. Everybody see that? Then you had a high, you had a low, you had a higher high. That establishes that swing right there. Okay, so my ABC is all the way down here. All right, if they go down below support and then pop back above it, you usually want to get that trade. We called it out right there. And this little trade came down a little bit further, and see how my region would automatically kick it in? Okay, now I can put a nice tight stop. See if the bar closes up. It did, so I could put a nice tight stop. Okay, because I expect the trade to go my direction. All right, now this is what we call a mid-band type trade, and it's a classic mid-band trade that we teach. This was a little riskier trade over here. Okay, but it's not risky if you don't let it go against you. Not very much. Now, if you were up nicely, you can give it a little bit of wiggle room. But let's say that you got in right here where I called this trade earlier this morning. I wouldn't give it all the way down to here, because that's a full 10 ticks. And with 2 contracts, that's $200. Right? You could actually have put it at mid-band, but that would still be that same $200. So I wouldn't have done that either. No, when I get in a trade like this, I pretty much expect it to start stair-stepping on me. Or you've got to pretty much get out of the trade. Okay? Now, let's go over a little bit more about what these swings actually mean and how important they are to be watching. Okay? Let me pause this for just a second. I'm going to go to a gold chart. I'm going to see if you can catch the same type trade based on the swings. Bear with me just a second. We'll get a gold chart up. Get a sip of drink here real quick. All right, it's loading. Bear with me a second. I want to show you something here. All right. Remember this little trade? This was called in the room this morning on gold. Okay, we talked about boxing in. All right, now let's look to the left to trade the right and see why this was called where it was called. Let's draw on our chart. Lightning, we'll do lightning 2. Go a little bit more. All right. So looking at our chart over here at the time, all right, we had a low that was established right here. And then we had another low that was established right here. I always like to look at 2 when they're close by like that. All right. Now, this actually went down, all right, and then we're expecting it to do what? To kiss for a rollover. So I've drawn on my chart where it should go. Okay, remember I drew this in the room this morning. All right, I drew it on several charts as far as that goes. But see how I was able to do that ahead of time? Let's see, could you explain why you would take the last mid-band trade on CL based on what criteria, considering it took out previous low? Well, the beauty of that one is, Igor, that when they barely take out that low like that, that's what we're looking for. Because keep in mind that if you look at charts and you look at even longer range bars, to give an example, you'll see plenty of times where they just wick an area and then go up again. And that's really truthfully what they did with probably about a 12 range bar, more than likely, is just a wick. I mean, when they barely take it out, I still consider that being hold and support. Remember YM this morning called an area at 200, remember? Had a line drawn there and it just barely took it out and you got a monster nice pop off of it. It's the same type of principle. Okay, but now keep in mind that if I was looking at this chart, now what would it take for this to go up? Anybody? Well, you have a high up here, low down here, low over here, so that's definitely, you know, an identified swing. So this is what it would take to take this out to go up right now. Now on micro, it already went up. So if you're one of those micro type traders that likes to actually take a trade, you know, when it breaks a trend line, you got 10 ticks off of that. Now I ran a webinar a few weeks ago that showed this type of trading. You want to be real careful with it, because if you break above a trend line, then you want to pretty much stay above it. Okay, I'm not saying to take a long there, but you can. There's lots of our people that do just that. You know, if that pops above that trend line, they're in. If that next bar went down, they'd be out, or they'd put their stop just underneath, maybe 2 ticks under the bar that formed. Okay, but you don't want to get to where you're making like 100 trades a day either. Okay, so what we were looking for right here, we drew on our chart, right? We had a line here, we had a line here, and you know why, right? Thrust, retrace, didn't take it out, not established, high, low, definitely a little higher high, but still didn't take it out. So technically this is an identified swing. Okay, see where it didn't take out the swing here and it finally did here? This is your thrust and your retrace and your thrust. So this is what the markets check when they come back. Let me show you just real quick on the chart. And I want to try to make this where it's not confusing at all, obviously. All right, let me draw it by hand. All right, you had a high, right? You had a low, right? But let me get that right over that. All right, but you didn't have a higher high here, see, because it didn't close above here. So the one that did close above here was this bar right here. So what you do then is in your mind, you do like this. This is the way it did. It went thrust, retrace, thrust, right? So now that is a high, a low, and a higher high. So resistance-wise, that's where you would expect them to check. All right, and I usually draw and watch for wicks too, just in case. Okay, and see where they hit exactly. See how they do that? But you got to learn to where you can see that without drawing it, because by the time you drew it, I had already called this trade, and we nailed this little puppy this morning. Okay, so don't get in the habit of trying to figure this out, except after hours or maybe on market replay or something like that, because this was a perfectly identified trade because it came back and just perfectly kissed where we wanted it to. Okay, that's a good mid-band type trade. And of course you saw that gold actually just kept dropping, kept dropping, kept dropping, kept dropping. Now let me ask you a question. If you were trading this, all right, and you saw on your chart what's happening right now, is there any reason to get out of that short yet? Well, remember, I did get out right here. Why did I get out right there, anybody? Because we double bottomed, and I thought, no way I'm going to let them go all the way back to mid-band. That's $240 of my money. All right, so I only gave them 120 of it. Okay, now this happened to keep going down, and I didn't care. But let's look at it and see if you can tell me when this actually decides to go the other direction. Double bottom. What do you think? Have you seen that before? Now you got to be careful. If you're a gutsy trader and you see this happen, you can literally box this little puppy in. Okay, and if it breaks it like that, and you just don't let it go back in the box, you might be surprised you can do that. Okay, but that's a risky trade because this is technically not a double bottom until, you know, even if they go sideways like this, they could still tag this top and still roll over and take that out. So you got to be really careful with that. Now, where's your swing on this chart, though, by what I've been teaching all night? Anybody? High, low, lower high, lower low. That is an established swing right there. That is an established swing right there. They go taking those out, and you're not in heading Southfield anymore. Everybody see that? Okay, so that's what you're looking for. Anybody remember that trade this morning? So let me ask you a quick question. Can you nail that trade from now on? What was another telltale sign on it? Anybody? Green stealth? Green stealth. I mean, it stayed green. If you were looking at this right through here, you said, you know what? Green stealth showing up. Green stealth showed up again. Green stealth showed up again. Green stealth showed up again. It's not even getting a break in it. What's going on here, everyone? Bam. So an identified lightning 2 is a good reversal point. Well, a good swing. I wouldn't say just necessarily lightning 2, because the one thing you got to be careful of with the lightning indicator itself is that, remember, if something just literally drops without any retracement, lightning 1 could even be that long. Okay? And if it retraced the other way without any kind of pullback, lightning 1 could be that long. Not very often, obviously. So what I look at is the swings themselves. See where this is stair-stepping? Double bottoms. This was my first clue that they were no longer going down. Now, did I go long there? No. No. I drew a trend line on my trading chart, though, like so. And I said, you know what? They start breaking that trend line. And they did. And I had it boxed on my trading chart too, but I didn't go long. I'm not, you know, granted, you could have right here, but what if that would have been up and then immediately back down? Can I go over the one that I drew by hand? Well, you can draw any of them by hand, Louis. The way to do that is just learn to see what identified swings are. Okay? I'll draw it by hand right here. Let's just start right here. Thrust. Let me get rid of lightning. We don't care about it right now. Just one sec. All right. Now, when will this swing right here that I just did be identified? I'm going to kill this lightning. It's trying to draw on me. All right. All right. So you got a swing here. You got this has to be broken with a close of a bar. Okay. Are those closes? That one is, but with that wick, I would still not consider it. Now, I would consider it with that one. Okay. So that would be your larger swing right there. And then in this little swing, you also have this little movement right here. Got a little thrust down, a little retrace. Because remember, with each swing, there's also like your smaller swings, your little lightning. See how it's doing that? And you can draw this with lightning indicator because it should draw. Okay? Everybody see how that's stair-stepping down? Stair-stepping down? When does it close below that swing? Right in here. So if you draw it, you just keep drawing it like that. Everybody see what it's doing? Are those lower highs and lower lows so far? All right, so looking on the left side of the chart, you're saying, okay, well, you know what? I've got a lightning swing right here, so I'm going to draw a line on it. So if it starts breaking that lightning swing, isn't it heading the other direction? Now keep in mind that these can be phantoms, but you can always get a good 12, 15 tick trade on most any phantom. And then if this didn't go ahead and decide to roll over, what you do, let's say for instance you thought this was a phantom. You say, okay, if you close below line 6, then I'm going to go ahead and short you. See, it didn't close. But see, that was a good long. And I actually called that trade in the room this morning because of seeing something like that. Okay? You got to learn to really see on your chart. You've actually got 3 trends on your charts. All right? Your 3 trends on your charts, I don't know why that's on there. Let me see if I can fix that just a second. Just one second. Got to find my lightning again. There we go. All right. This is what you're looking at on every single chart. Okay? So, for instance, if you were looking at lightning 3, what does it take to actually get in this trade to know that it's changing directions? Well, you'd have to break here. Okay? But that would be a breakout trade. But what about this higher low right here and maybe mid bands right here, and you can box this in because look at this on lightning 1. See how you had a thrust and a retrace? So could you actually box this in? Draw your little trend line across there. Could you actually box that in right there to take that trade? Sure. And where is that? It's right down in here on lightning 3. Okay? So on lightning 1, you were already in an uptrend. You were just in a retrace, right? See your uptrend over here to the left? And then all they did is check support and then off they went again. Same thing with lightning 2. You know, let's say you do an ABC type move. Higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So each time what you do is you box in these little areas as they come down and they kiss like lightning 1 areas, lightning 2 areas. Okay? And things like that. And each time they'll be coming back on top of these little swings. Take them out a little bit lots of times. Okay? But, you know, you're not waiting to take this trade to here. Okay? You're taking this trade down here. Okay? But you're doing it when it starts, you know, well, like for instance, if you were heading down, like we were over here, you can clearly see that they broke the left side of the chart right here. Okay? Now, if they would have just done something like this, let's say that it didn't do quite like it did. Let's do it a little bit different. And then we didn't take out the low, so I'll just draw it over here. Is that an identified swing? No. If it would have taken this out, would it be an identified swing? Yes. But when you look to the left to trade the right, be sure and check your swing on the left, because when they broke this, this trend was no longer heading downward. It was actually starting to break to the upside. But your telltale signs are double bottoms or barely taking out lows. Okay, breaking a resistance area. Look to the left to trade the right, mid-band type trades. And could you have boxed this in and gotten this monster nice move this morning? It was a monster. Okay, I mean that trade just kept going and going and going. Okay, but what if you missed it? What if you missed the trade entirely? You got to wait for a retrace. Okay, and there are retraces along in here. Look at this one here. Mid-band criteria long. Should flash Should flash. Maybe not here though, because it has to be in a break of a stealth and close below. Let's see. There was no stealth here to close below. This one did close below. Let's see. Nope, closed above. Didn't close below 6. That one went down. That one went up. So that didn't qualify. That one I think should have actually technically, but it didn't fire it. So, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't have boxed it in though. Everybody get something out of this tonight? What I'm trying to show you here is, don't always think that markets are just heading down, okay? Because granted, I called this trade in the room this morning and we got a monster short. But what if you would have added this to your repertoire this morning? And that's a classic box in mid-band trade, especially when it breaks the resistance to the opposite side. Now be careful just boxing them in anytime at mid-band, okay? Because if it hasn't done a pretty good exhaustion type trade, see this, look at this, like a big old A, B, C, D, E type, just huge, or even thrust, retrace, thrust. A good 1, 2, 3 type trade. If you would have boxed this, would it have gone long? No. But what if you would have boxed here? Let's take that same trade, but I'm going to diagnose this one for you, and then we're going to wrap. See where'd that go? Just a second. I'm going to diagnose this one for you here real quick. Why would we not take this trade boxed in? Anybody? Because it didn't take out this swing. See your thrust, retrace, thrust? That's your swing you would have to take out to change trends on this particular chart. So you've got to always look at your swings and see all that did is come down and gave a lower, never gave you the opportunity to go long on that one. Now on this one here, it did because it took out the swing to the left, and that was also at mid-band. This one didn't take out the swing to the left at mid-band. Everybody see that? That's the difference. This was still a phantom type or a box in deep probe type trade. Okay. Could you happen to take a trade? Let's see if we can get 10 ticks just for the fun of it. We'll do 10 only. Let's just see if we can get it. Just for the fun of it. Is that 10 ticks? That's 11. That's 9. Come on, lock in. There's 10. Let's see if we can get it. Just for the fun of it. Got it. Now, why did I take that trade there just a second ago even? What did it do? Okay, diagnose the chart in real time. You had a big old thrust, a nice retrace, right? And on the left side of my chart, that was my swing. This was my thrust. If I was going to continue going up, what do I expect the chart to do? Can't take out this or you're changing directions. Now, not necessarily changing directions, but you're at least starting to change directions. This is where I would look to be more than likely going short on a chart. Or right here now, because you've got actually a lightning 3. See how you're getting a lower high right there? You want to try it and see if we can get something? I will, just for the fun of it, let's see if we can get 10 ticks. I'll do it real fast. If it goes below it, you may not get it. It may get higher. Nope, yep. Got it. Broke support. Anyway, that was just a test type trade. But see how it broke this swing right here? Okay, now how much did it break it by? Well, it broke it by quite a bit, but that's a phantom trade, isn't it, everyone? Could you actually take this trade long even where we sit? I would probably take a shot at it because it went above resistance. See it to the left? Let's see if it can get up to that top just for the fun of it. I may not have enough data. Nailed it. That's a phantom trade, by the way. Now, is this a phantom trade that I like? It took out lightning 3, so I would be really more cautious on it. But could you box it in like we teach? I would box this trade in just like that. Take just that little consolidation patch right there. And when that candle went up, and especially when it went up through resistance to the left, right there, I would take it. So I'd probably do one here and another one right there if I saw it happening in real time. Okay? So learn to see that you got, don't pay attention to lightning 4 as much. We don't care about lightning 4 as much. You're really looking at the overall trend, but pay definitely close attention to those 3, because lightning 3 will make a huge difference in your bottom line. And then your lightning 1s and 2s are just good for the retraces. You know, to give an example, when Lisa was asking just a little bit ago, why do these change colors? If you would have missed this trade right here, and this would have actually changed red when this took out this swing right here. So when would it have turned green again? Right there on that bar. So if you would have turned on your lightning, you could have actually had a red lightning because it was stair-stepping down, and then it started stair-stepping up right there on that bar. And that can get you in it, or box it, obviously. Okay? I hope this helped everybody. I'm going to do a webinar completely on predictors, the next one that I do, because I think there's a lot of people that really want to know about predictors. But keep in mind, price is king, okay? Draw your trend lines on your charts and everything. You know, even when you get these huge moves down, you know, when they start breaking even lightning 3 swings, to give an example, you know, that's a trend change. You see what I mean? See that big old thrust down retrace drawn on lightning 3 even? That was a good reason to box that right there, right? Okay, and what a monster move it was. And we didn't even stay open till right in through here. And I'm pretty sure most of you took your trade out right in through here as we closed the room anyway. Okay, so we'll do this for real tomorrow. There's no oil inventory tomorrow, but we will have I'm sure, a good day in trading again, and we'll diagnose charts in real time. Okay, because this is exactly the way I do it every day. All right, thanks everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the morning. I hope I didn't miss any questions. If I did, I apologize. But if I missed any, just ask me in the morning. I'll be happy to help. Okay? All right, Tryphone, I'll answer that one for you in the morning. Just remind me first thing. Tryphone's asking about like lightning 2 at a reversal point versus lightning 3. And be sure and watch, let me show you a webinar to watch too, real quick. If you go to your member login, this webinar right down here, identified swings are super important. This is about like this webinar right here. And looking to the left to trade the right is another good one. And train your mind to see the trade. If you watch that one, and that one right there, and actually 4 trades to memorize too. Watch all these blue ones. Any of these blue ones right here are ones that go over in real detail of how we trade this. Okay? Thanks everyone, and we'll do it again in the morning. Bye everyone.